In this video, I'm going to discuss the update that we did to the PPMs about 2 months ago. I've been testing them, making sure that I had enough input that I could give you on how to use this new update. Now, the update has an auto regression algorithm in it. This actually gives ability for the PPMs to see in the future, so to speak, by predicting where they're likely to go. There was a couple considerations when we were working on this, and in fact, I need to give a shout out to Alexander and Alex who helped me work on this, and they are members of the community. I really appreciate all of their input. But let's just talk about what happened here. We were trying to find out if we could predict where the PPM was going to go, and then take the knowledge that I have and use that to foresee what the markets had to do to make the PPMs actually be correct, or see if they were correct. And so I went through a lot of study here over the past several weeks, and the math that we added into the modeling is an AR modeling, which is an auto regression modeling. The math that was used here was a Berg methodology. This methodology in the auto regression model, this method fits the auto regression model to a signal by minimizing the forward and backward prediction errors. Such maximization occurs in the AR parameters. They're constrained to satisfy the Levinson-Durbin recursion. This is important to understand because it helps to eliminate a lot of the errors in the prediction methodology. This is technical talk for attempting to have the highest accuracy of prediction. Once the model gets beyond 10 predictive forward points, the accuracy goes down substantially. In fact, there's no use for it really beyond 3 or 5 bars. If you think about it, if somebody could predict what was going to happen in the next 3 to 5 bars, that would be incredible information, because that could lead you to a lot of other conclusions, such as maybe a new trend or just the directional movement or reversal change that is likely to happen. What's been found out from these indicators, that's exactly what it does. And so I'm going to run a little script here just to show you how it works and talk about it as it goes. But I think what you'll find in the end that this is an incredible enhancement. I've been using this in the trading room as well as on my daily videos. So let's get into it. As I start the script, you'll notice that I have it set to go out 10 bars from there. So before we get into too much here, let's take a look at the settings that you have. There's a couple things in here, not too complex, but there are some things you need to know. Now, if you're using an intraday chart, you can actually choose this very top option here, which is ignore gaps on intraday chart. This will help to normalize the data right away. I will discuss a couple things that happen when you get big movements up or down, and we have seen some issue. You want to make sure this is only set on intraday charts. But as we look at some of the other settings here, this is the way I would set it. The model coefficient is set to 150. This is the default. Future bars I have set to 10. Make sure those are set right. And past bars in increment of is at 3, and then there's only one style. The dots show you, I'll show you exactly where the models are predicting here, and that's all of these areas here you'll see they're in the same color for the actual PPM value, and then we have the predictive in dots and grayed out so that you can see what is being predicted. And what's happening here with the predictions right now is that what it's saying is about 3 bars out, we're going to start to see a decline. You can see all of these indicators are suggesting that the PPM value is going to go down. And the only way that that can happen is if the market trades below that average. So when we look at the averages, PPM1 is tracking the 10-period moving average. This is a daily chart here, so 10-day moving average. PPM2 is tracking the 21. The 40 is on PPM3, and PPM200 is tracking the 200-day moving average. All of these averages are starting to show that we're going to start some sort of decline and run the script here for a few minutes so you can watch it run, and I'll discuss what you're seeing as we go through this. I'm going to pause from time to time. You can see the algos are starting to predict a downside action here, and all of a sudden we get a big reversal right here, and then the market starts to decline sharply here. Let's just continue to watch what happens. So right as it was starting to bottom out here, all the algos suggesting that we're going to get above the first derivative and sometimes even the second. PPM1 went right through, suggesting that we're going to go through the second derivative, and indeed it did. Let me explain what it means. When you cross the first derivative, that was right here. It said that the 10-period moving average would be challenged or tested. When it goes to the second one, it suggests that we're going to see that the 10-period moving average is going to turn up. The only way that can happen is if the market value, current last trade, remains above the 10-period moving average. One of the other things I want you to look at, as you can see on this regression line, what's being projected here, you can put your cursor over it. It's suggesting that PPM1 is going to go to 0.50, which is double trend mode. As you know, 0.25 is trend mode. What's interesting is PPM2 and 3 are not getting the same predictions, suggesting that we're going to see this upside movement. So what it suggests instead is that we're going to see some resistance here, and we're going to see the PPM2 and PPM3 actually stay in a flat mode, which suggests there's likely to be resistance from here. Let's go ahead and run the script again. You see all of a sudden we got a big reversal bar, the next bar. And PPM1 is starting to moderate. PPM2 and 3 are still suggesting downward movement. So as we look at this script, we're starting to see the acceleration. The PPM1 is starting to accelerate, that telling us that we're going to have a huge downtrend. It's suggesting we're going to go below 1.0, and that indicates that there's going to be a very sharp trend to the downside. Now, this is a key point that I stopped the chart at. Notice all of the PPMs are just turned up, but look at it's predicting that we're going to go back above the moving averages. PPM2 is still going to be negative, so that means that the 21-period moving average is still going to be a major resistance point, but the indicators are suggesting that we're going to go back above the 10-period moving average. Let's watch and see what happens. So here we were. This is the prediction. We just went above the 10. Now what's happening is that the PPMs are starting to suggest that we might be able to get now above the 21-period moving average. Notice down here where my cursor is, this is where the PPMs are crossing through its first and second derivative. Let's continue to run the script. Here we challenged the 21, and what we got to was still in a negative mode. So we were unable to get above this pattern, and PPM1 is still suggesting that, but the PPM2 and 3 are also continuing to indicate that these moving averages above are going to be major resistance. Quick indication again, back to the 21. Now the 21 is suggesting there's a very potential move to the upside here. See if we get anything there. Okay, so now it's done exactly that. Now you see the predictive, the grayed out area is suggesting we're going to continue to move up. The 40 is also suggesting that we're going to stay, it's not going to get positive. If you notice, I put my cursor over here, minus 0.08. So it's not going to get positive. It's not suggesting that, but it is suggesting a few bars out, there's a potential for a test of that 40-period moving average. Let's keep running the script. So here we are. We're just about at the 40-period moving average. Right now, that value is at 38.12, markets trading 37.73. There we are. It was predicting it would get through the 40. We did get through the 40. We now have printed up the high of 39.74. But I want you to see that just in about 2 or 3 bars, it's suggesting we're going to hit a peak on PPM 1. PPM 2 is doing the same. Everything is starting to stall here. And this is the beauty of this indicator. It's actually going to give you some insight. So I could go on through this whole script of this market here, but I'm going to stop here and just know that these are the ways that you try to use these indicators. If you go back to the original understanding of PPMs, you want to use that knowledge to be able to use the predictive models to see where we're going in the future. This should help to clarify a lot of issues around this new algo.